We are so happy to have you all here, and we're looking forward to the collaboration, and we hope you guys walk away with something.
All right. Was everybody able to get in your pod okay? Yes? Okay, great.
All right, so we're going to start with the meeting norms: begin and end on time, be an engaged participant, be an active listener, and open to new ideas. Use notes for sidebar conversations, and use electronics respectfully.
Yes. We know how valuable your time is, so we're going to try to get in and get out.
Yes. All right, so our icebreaker, we have a trivia game. It's a Calcott trivia game to see how much you know about the school that you are at every single day. So you will have questions to test your knowledge and see how you answer the questions.
It should probably like choose a character, and
Yes.
then you should be writing the game with us.
I'm going to take half an hour to choose my character.
So as you get connected, you kind of see yourself jump up here, whatever animal you chose.
You don't care about it. You're doing too?
No, it's two. I don't know.
For you. Infer whenever you choose them.
It's not letting me choose.
You should start. Somebody looks just like me.
I think it's probably
I'm doing something.
All right, is everyone,
Yeah.
has everyone chosen a character?
I think we're waiting for one more.
That's okay.
We just do it without. Just to the outlier.
Here is the answers to these questions. We want to know.
I'm going to go in.
You might know a lot of them.
Yes.
Who was here when they put the first breakdown? What's the issue of showing her underwear sitting on the stage?
She and I are going out to dinner. Because she loves tea. She has one of last
And your big graduation, I was in
person is coming in.
We're ready, let's go.
So the purpose of this game is just like an icebreaker to see who knows the most about Calcott.
To see who's the oldest?
You guys have been here for a very long time, so I'm pretty sure you'll do well.
Yes.
All right, looks like we have 10 people in.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah. Is it a speed thing also?
You don't have all day. I was nice, I gave you 15
So the questions will be on
questions.
your device.
I don't really.
All right, so do I? Oh, okay.
Do we have to wait for everybody to answer the question? Or is it all? You get it right, Brayden? She's got it right. You got it right. Back in the day, we memorized things. We also had a regular. Is anybody looking over my shoulder?
Get your
All right, Diana.
Diana.
Diana's on top.
Where's Diana?
Come on, Miss Jones, come on. You're second place.
I don't know.
Was that the number of students? Okay, I asked his wife.
But that's what I was
That's funny.
They gonna ask why we named it after her, because I heard that too. She was actually
I did too. I was like, wait, I think it's the other one.
That's hilarious.
I only got mine something like that because I had to have.
All right,
Jadah.
I think you secured this one.
And it's a total of 12 questions, like, almost there. Climb.
at Mary Calcott.
Yes. Not teaching in general.
I don't
Miss
know.
Pat's in second place now.
Change it.
I'm gonna go back. Oh, it ran out of time? It ran out of time.
Mine was freezing up a little bit.
Yes, it is.
I knew that when I picked her on, she started when I did.
I think it's the last question.
Oh, yes, I asked her yesterday too to verify.
You don't have a long time. 8 seconds. 4, 3.
Oh, the upgrade.
Awesome.
Well, Jadah, didn't you know the answers?
Wow, Miss Patterson came out on top. All right, Miss Patterson,
Here you go.
all right, so now it is time for a raffle.
Woo, raffle time.
See this on the
All right, did you take it?
I lost my ticket. There it is.
All right, let's see. Put some thought to these gifts over here. First one is 138144.
That's me.
All right.
You get to leave early,
There you
that's
go.
okay. Easy prize.
All right, the second number.
Ooh, it's a nice movie prize.
138145. It's me.
So we'll have raffles throughout, so just keep your raffle ticket handy.
You're welcome.
What'd you get, Karen? Did you look at that? Yeah. I got Chick-fil-A. I got Chick-fil-A. Oh, I'll trade you.
All right, so the title of our professional development is Learning Forward. Where do we go in a post-pandemic school year? So we know that there's nothing we can do about what has happened this school year. So we are here, and our plan is to see what we can do going forward. Your presenters today, me and Ms. Jones. I decided, we have a quote from Serena Williams, I decided I can't pay a person to rewind time, So I may as well get over it. So again, we are here, we have the information, the students, there's nothing we can do about it, so we have to move forward.
So we can't go back. It's time to just see where they are and just go ahead and move forward. So we're going to look at what does the research say, exactly how did the pandemic affect learning and students just different knowledge and ability with the different skills as opposed to if we were in school every day in the building. The video is going to be up here, so although your screen will stay like this, just turn your attention up here for the video.
There is no doubt that the coronavirus pandemic slammed educators and policymakers with a Herculean task of pivoting from classrooms to virtual instruction. At the same time, there's no dispute that learning gains that have occurred since the school buildings were closed have been negatively affected. The only open question has been, how bad is it? The Center for Research on Education Outcomes, CREDO, at Stanford University, calculated the magnitude of student-level learning losses on behalf of 19 of our state research partners for the 2019-2020 school year. The results are not good. Every summer, students forget some of what they learned during the prior school year. We call this learning decay or summer slide. We can see the same phenomenon with COVID. As schools sent their students home in mid-March, students were effectively on an extended summer break. Every day that they were out of the classroom, they fell further behind. We modeled the learning decay that students faced during the extended break. The results are tragic. Of the 19 states we reviewed, the largest learning loss in reading was about 183 days of schooling. That's equal to a full school year. The smallest effect was still about 57 school days. That's still approximately 1/3 of a school year. Losses in math achievement were even bigger. The average loss was 136 days of schooling, and the largest was 232 days.
All right, so now we're going to really look at that information and those statistics to see exactly what was the magnitude of the impact. So as stated in the video, the learning loss in reading, the minimum was 57 instructional days was lost. And the maximum means some of our students who experienced more of a loss than others experienced up to 183 days of academic loss. So that's that's 3 days longer than a whole school year. So that's a big hit in reading, and then math, we have even a larger hit with the pandemic. So on average, students lost 136 instructional days of learning, and with the max of being 232 days. So we want you to just kind of think about those statistics and that data and think, what is your immediate reaction? As a teacher, you may have students next year who've lost over a year of math. What does that mean? What is your immediate reaction? So you can go ahead and complete the activities through Nearpod on your device. You can just type in a word, a statement, anything short. What is your immediate reaction to this data? So when you hear like a student lost a year of math, what does that mean to you? Or how do you react to that? Okay, so some people said it's sad, they're concerned, there's going to be a lot of work to do, panic, scary, upsetting, scary, yes, right? So what are we going to do? Students are coming to us almost a full year behind in math and also behind in reading. Someone mentioned we need intense intervention. How long will it take? Or it would take the students twice as long to catch up. Good. Remediation. Awesome. So I'm glad that you guys are recognizing that this means we have to do something, right? We can't just approach the next year like nothing happened. We have to move forward with what we know and see how to approach. So with that, we're going to kind of break out into 3 little groups to do a discuss and jot activity. So we want you to think about now, what does that fact and what does that data mean for your instruction next year? How might it need to look different because a student may be a year behind in math?
And so we have driving questions. How do we determine where students are? And how do we know where to start with this instruction next year?
Yes. So we have 3 groups, and we're going to kind of count you off like you do with the kids, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And back here is where you will go. So group 1 is in this corner, so group 1 you will go over there. Group 2 is in this corner, and group 3. So we expect you to just have a conversation. You're not going to be with the people you're sitting at your table with. So we want you to talk to other folks and see what they have in mind, what they think this will mean for our instruction next year.
So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, down 3, and 1.
So you can go ahead and move to your group, and then just take little dots of your conversation, main ideas, points, just note them on the anchor chart.
Provide corrected feedback. So what are you going to do with it? That's what we just said, corrected feedback.
Oh, yes, good.
So we'll give you 1 more minute.
And then they never go over it. Seriously, I've seen that.
Summer school? I'm a little nervous about that.
I would have said no.
All right, so we would like for you all to share out some of the ideas that you have. We'll start with group 1. You can talk about them for us.
Oh, you want to split it with me, Ash?
Just go ahead, you like to talk to it.
All
So
right.
the question is, what does this mean for your instruction next year? What did your group talk about? What are some of the main points?
How we figure out our instruction, we're going to find your present level of performance. Then you're going to group your guided math groups into tiers.
with construction on the areas we need to recover. And then throughout the year, continued assessment, and then from there have corrective feedback, and then also more numbers.
Yeah, so I love that you have assess and then do something with it. Not just, oh, let's give them all these tests, but what are we going to do with it? Great job. All right, group 2, who is your out?
We put gather data, which is kind of like what that group said, gather data so you know where to start.
Right.
We also said adjusting the time and pacing so that you may need more time to work on different things. Increase staff support, because we're going to need a lot more remediation this year, so we may need more support with instruction. And then we put a question mark with allow hands-on, like how will hands-on instruction, how will hands-on activities come into play? And then find ways to reduce student and teacher stress.
All right, group 3. Well, the teacher gets on the spotlight.
First thing we said, have faith. We said patience, student incentives. We think that centers and spiraling, for new people, spiraling meant where you had kids in a room and they worked at their level, but it was also entwined with what was going on in the classroom. We used to have like a 3rd and 4th grade, and then the 4th graders who weren't on level would spiral out of that room and then join regular 4th grade in the middle of the year. Parent involvement, not just, oh yeah, I know, but actual parent involvement. And cover everything as needed by the students, small groups by ability, pre-testing. And my thing is, I think we need to make sure we remember the kids don't know they're behind. That's our internal aims. The kids have no idea. We got to make sure we don't tell them that.
Right. So just throwing stuff out there.
And for reading, I'm thinking more whole language for the science and social studies. You know, we do a lot of that with our shared reading. That'll give us some time to do some other stuff.
Awesome. All right, all great ideas. You guys can come back to your seats. Thank you for participating in that activity. And so it sounds kind of like a lot of you guys hit on the points of, first we got to kind of see where our kids are, give assessments, right, gather some data so we know where to start. That's very important, right? We can't just assume these kids are going to come in at the same level that our kids in years past have come in. This is an important quote from the video. We're not going to watch the whole video, but I did pull out this quote because I think we need to really think about what it means for us. It goes, this crisis means we must adopt strong diagnostic assessments. A lot of you guys had that on there. Pre-assessments. Assess them. Where are they? And frequent progress checks. I think group 1 had continuing assessments. Both should be aligned with historical assessments so that we can plot a recovery course. So not only when they get to us, how did they do, but also in the previous year. So example, SOLs, STAR data, to see how they align. And a quick tip is next year, the Department of Education is going to actually roll out multiple SOL tests. So for next year, we have to at least take 2. There's going to be 1 SOL test in the beginning of the year and 1 at the end of the year. And then the next year, they're going to do full implementation. There will be 1 at the beginning of the year, 1 in the middle of the year, and 1 at the end. To kind of constantly look at that data, see where our kids are, and where we need to adapt and make changes.
All right, so the survey says you all filled out a survey for us, and we thank you for that. Most 3 through 5 teachers in our building do not feel comfortable analyzing data. Are unsure how to analyze data from STAR assessment. 100% of 3 to 5 teachers in our building, grades 3 through 5, strongly agree that data will be a driving force for success in a post-pandemic school year. Also, you all strongly agree that they do not have the skills and knowledge necessary to analyze data for driving instruction. So let's set our goals for today.
So based on what you talked about in your group and based on what the survey said from you all, we would like you to set at least 1 goal for yourself that you would like to learn or accomplish by the end of this session today. So what is 1 goal you want to achieve during this professional learning experience? And it's not a test. You can just, put words or phrases is fine.
So just a personal goal for yourself, something that you want to walk away with.
Yeah, so something for yourself, not your students, it's something about yourself. What do you want to learn? And we covered up the name, so it will be anonymous. Awesome. So just go ahead and make a goal. You can take a few seconds to think about it. Again, it's anonymous. We don't know who posted it. But then again, our goal today is learning, so it really doesn't matter. So some of the goals coming up are how to utilize data so that it will result in increased student achievement,
More technology to augment instruction.
how to apply data into your daily lessons.
How to better use the data gathered to meet students' needs.
Great, great, great.
Oh, these are great.
So I'm glad that you guys are understanding that data is going to be very important and play a huge role in the next school year.
All right, so our learning objectives: 1, understand the critical role data analysis will play in planning instruction for next school year. Effectively analyze this year's data and make instructional recommendations for next school year.
Yeah.
So as we can see, data is really important because you need it to drive your instruction, to see where the kids are, and to see how you can help them to be successful.
Yep. And it looks like we're already touched on the first objective, right? You guys are becoming aware of how important data will be. And then throughout this experience, you're actually going to have time to get hands-on with the data and analyze it and make some decisions. All right, time for another raffle.
All right. Let's see. All right, our next winner, 138141.
All right. Okay, the next one is 138143. No, we're not there yet.
All right, so now we are going to see why data is important. Why do we need to use data? How is it effective and how will it drive our instruction? So again, this video will play on a smart board and you can just look here.
How do data help teachers? Teachers have access to more quality data about their students' performance than ever. This information, when combined with content knowledge, professional judgment, and quality training, can be used to improve outcomes for kids everywhere. Let's follow a teacher, Ms. Bullen, and one of her students, Joey, to find out how data help teachers and their students succeed. Before the school year starts, all teachers receive appropriate role-based access to data on their students' past performance, behavior, and attendance. This enables Ms. Bullen to set goals and create working groups specifically for her class. Throughout the year, she uses data and her experience in the classroom to see where Joey and his classmates excel or struggle and targets her instruction to meet their needs. Ms. Bullen uses data about Joey's performance to show his parents what he's learning, how he's growing, and where he may be struggling. She also talks with Joey about his own data, and they work together to set goals. Throughout the year, Ms. Bullen and her principal review her performance data together to evaluate how she's doing with different students, standards, and concepts, and to note strengths and opportunities. Her principal uses information to help identify the best ways to support Ms. Bullen and her colleagues. Ms. Bullen and other teachers meet regularly for training and to use data to solve problems and identify promising practices. They also have access to powerful tools that let them know when kids may be getting off track. Midway through the year, Ms. Bullen sees that Joey is at risk of failing. Ms. Bullen works with Joey, his parents, and his other teachers to get him on track. By the end of the year, Joey's data shows that he's on track for success, though he'll continue to need support. When teachers are empowered with data, everyone does better. Learn more at dataqualitycampaign.org.
All right, so this is a frequent scenario that you may have encountered before is I'm doing everything I can. I have the centers that you guys talked about. I'm giving the assessments. I'm really going really hard with my instruction, but my students are still not where I want them to be in math. So now we can think, where do we go after we've noticed, okay, there is some sort of issue or problem or a pandemic has set them back?
All right, so we began with data selection, driving questions, purpose. What exactly do you want to find out? What is it that you want to know? Accuracy, where will your data come from? And how can you ensure data quality? So as you can see here, we have the cycle that starts with planning, then data collection, data analysis, evaluation, which involves decision making and interpretation, and then it just keeps going again and again, not just one time at the beginning of the school year, but throughout the school year.
And as teachers, we fall into the habit, I've done it before, okay, we have to give this test because guess what, the calendar says, oh, every unit I have to give a test, right? We don't really look at the purpose. What do I want to learn from their results? So instead of just giving tests, really looking at why do I want to give them, what data would I like to see, okay? And also making sure that the test is accurate. Because if the test, has an incorrect answer or something like that, you want to ensure that the data is really where students are, not for other things like mistakes. Okay, so when I thought about, I've been going really hard in math, they're still just not where I want them to be, I thought of what type of assessment, where will I get my data from? And so I went to STAR because students take STAR multiple times in the year, and it's a standardized assessment that we give school-wide. So that's something that I can look to see why my math instruction is still not really where I want it to be. So when we look at this data, we can see that we have some units or domains in math that stand out as being a little bit weaker than others. So we see computation and estimation is in the red, as well as measurement and geometry. Okay, so this might make sense because I've been really hitting number sense or other topics. I didn't really know exactly where in my math instruction to really hone in. And that is why data is super important, because it breaks down and shows you more information. Even with this though, I still don't know exactly where to reteach, what to do with my students, what to really target in those centers, those small groups. So we can look at another report that breaks down the data even more. Okay, so it breaks down the data by SOL standard. And you can find this data for your class in both math and reading for STAR.
All right, so yes, it's really good to be able to look at the breakdown, because if you just look at the first screen, it just gives you the unit, and you may end up reteaching, going over the same information that is not needed with your students because they've already mastered it. So here, you can see that SOL 4.4a, the kids have done really good with that. So even though you can do a review, it's not something that you need to focus on.
Okay, so like Ms. Severs has said, we don't really need to drill and kill with the multiplication facts. They're doing pretty well, okay? So although this overall domain was weaker, I need to know exactly what skills to work on. Because if I'm drilling math facts thinking, oh, it's going to bring up my, scores, but that's not really what they're weak on, that's not going to be effective for my instruction. So we always want to look at data to see where do I move forward with instruction. So we can see one immediately jumps out to us as being lower than all of the rest. So the one that jumps out to me is determine common multiples and factors. If you're a fourth grade teacher, oh my goodness, You know exactly what I'm talking about. So I can see here that students really need remediation, reteaching in this standard. I need to put that as one of my station activities and make sure that students are exposed to it through the DMR and different things like that. Do you see any others that stand out to you?
Yes, also add and subtract fractions and mixed numbers, and also solve single-step practical problems involving addition and subtraction.
So now with this information, I know exactly what I need to kind of review daily, put in their centers, as opposed to just randomly thinking, how can I bring up their scores?
Since it's such a broad topic.
So we kind of encourage that you have to do something with the data, right? You can't look at it and say, okay, this is the data, yeah, this is what it is. You have to take action.
All right, so you're going to look for trends in the data to plan whole class lessons, look at individual scores to form small groups, which I remember one of the groups mentioned that, collect additional data on a regular basis, another group mentioned that. For example, DMR, checkpoints, etc., anything that you can collect data from, additional data.
Yeah, so it's important to move through these different cycles, to move through collection, analysis, and evaluation. So now we're going to have time for you to practice, just like we do with the kids. What you're going to do is your screen will see some type of activity. If you click on the picture, it's a PDF that will open in a separate link. You're going to analyze that data and then answer the question that we have for you. So if you click on the little picture in the corner, it will bring up another link with the data.
And I gotta make it bigger. I can't read that.
You're an expert on the Chromebook now.
No, I'm not. I think it's like.
All right, so what overarching math units are the students in this class struggling with the most?
Stuff to get that time.
So once you lock in the answer, it will appear on the board. And again, it's going to be anonymous, so we won't see your names or what you chose. It will just show us the responses.
Fractions, this is fractions.
Awesome. Yes, sorry.
Your answer has been seen. And I don't know why you didn't do that. It's rude, I haven't told you.
All right. So we know we're throwing data out at you, but we're actually going to analyze the data ourselves as well. So we can see the majority of you guys chose B, which is computation and geometry. And then a couple of us chose C, which is patterns, functions, and algebra. So let's take a look at the data together to kind of see what overarching math units kind of stand out to us. So we can see that 2 are significantly lower than the other areas, and that would be computation and estimation and measurement and geometry. So although we had a couple choose patterns, function, and algebra, we want to focus on what is the most urgent, what do we need right now. So yes, I still would maybe put patterns, function, and algebra, have that station. When I'm talking about revising my instruction, some daily activity, I'm going to kind of focus on my units that my students perform the lowest on. So great job. Most of us chose B, and that was the correct answer. So now we're going to analyze the data a little bit further. If you notice, the PDF had 2 pages. On the second page, it breaks it down by standard. So now we're going to correlate it to our own standards of learning. You're going to look at what areas, specific standards, will students have the most gaps in next year. If this is your class coming into next year, you're looking at this data, where will they have the most significant gaps? And you may need to use page 2 to answer this question. Also for this one, you can select multiple responses if it's appropriate. All right, so you can see some answers popping up. So remember, for this one, you can select multiple answer choices if it applies.
Can we do a vote?
All right, so if we look at the data from you all, it looks like most people chose A and C. Did everybody choose A and C? Okay, or at least one or the other. So yes, those are the two standards that stuck out to us as well, 4.5A and 4.5B. So getting this first thing in the year, this data, I might go ahead and put that on my DMR, right? Something that correlates to third grade. So this is fourth grade right now. I might figure out the third grade senior that correlates with 4.5 and go ahead and put it on there.
Fifth grade could be working on this now because they know that
Yes,
fourth grade
yes.
is weak. So
At least
fifth
you're
grade-
following, yes. So I would look at kind of like that and put this standard on my DMR just to kind of remediate and start working on where we need students to grow. All right, so now we're going to do some table talk and come up with some suggestions for instruction. So this is your class, right? This is your class. It's the beginning of the next year. What are you going to do? How are you going to improve your instruction? I gave some examples, such as the DMR, but what are some other things maybe you can do to improve your instruction? So take just a few seconds to talk to people at your table. This is your class coming up. What are you going to do?
Don't forget post-pandemic.
I would definitely say that because virtual this year, I work with that as well. And there are so many instead of just looking at something do it all, right?
Get discussion, great.
All right, so I know had a chance to talk to the third grade team, and they talked about small groups, stations, how stations are very effective because students get a chance to collaborate with each other, which is something they really missed out on this year. They didn't have a chance to work with other students in small groups with their stations, and giving them that time to practice those activities and not just listening to the teacher talking, but to actually have fun with their classmates, bounce ideas off of them while they're reviewing the information.
So it's important to stress the what do we do, right? Not just that we're collecting the data, but what do we do as a result? What is the data telling me? What story is it telling me? And then what do I need to do after that? All right. So now we are going to get into the activity where you guys are going to do a complete analysis of some data in your grade level groups.
All right, so in your grade level groups, analyze the data for the previous grade level students you will have next year. For example, if you're a fourth grade teacher, you will take a look at third grade, fifth grade, fourth grade, third grade, second grade. Use the Jamboard questions to collaborate with your team and record your responses. We will come back together to share out.
Okay, so just an example. So if I'm right here in the fourth grade group, right, I'm going to look at the third grade data, what's coming up to me. Okay, and then on the Jamboard, after this slide, you will have the links. On the Jamboard, there's going to be some driving questions to answer and help, you can answer them and help drive your conversation. You can use the sticky notes tool or the text box tool to answer those, and then we'll come back together and share out. So we want this to be meaningful for you. This is the actual students you are going to have next year. So kind of look at where might you have to start your instruction next school year.
So sharing ideas with each other.
Well, we might have to pause.
I don't have a Jamboard. Where's my Jamboard? I don't understand. I've got to be the one. Okay, I told them to take medicine on the last.
So this is what we're going to do. You're going to think about the students coming up next year. Think about what you're going to look at reading star data. So we showed you math. You're going to look at reading. All you make a prediction. What do you think is going to be the lowest units or skills that students are going to come in with? What reading skills do you think they're going to struggle the most with? And then we're going to try to get the links to work for you. Okay? So go ahead and talk in your groups and make some predictions for us.
And then we have
They're still going to have trouble with.
That's okay.
But that's what we're writing. They're going to have a hard time figuring out graphic organizers or anything with a missing part. What part goes in because they don't see the flags. Even in reading, they're going to have a hard time with that. So I'll be there.
So that's what I'll say for reading.
We said that one of the things we're going to talk about, I can tell a graphic so the kids can't see anything that's missing. They can't figure out what's missing out the flag, which means they didn't read, they didn't comprehend it because it's not fiction.
well,
They don't see that every section has a point.
we took my stuff out of Diana's room.
And also short stories, they don't see what the big problem is. So somebody has to recap the ending of the story. Who was confident, he was saying, it's a dialogue. Which characters say and why are they saying? Because they don't read it, and we're just kind of feeling, oh, well, she said this, but he said that. It just works. Yeah. We had trouble with it before. I know. Well, I thought the play. We did a play once a month. one's not. Then they start that. You said it, why did they start? Why is she the one screaming?
And summarize.
I don't know.
Oh, I heard summarize.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And may not do.
I guess that group has already seen the slides.
I always do that.
Yeah, now I'm
This is
fixing
like, almost every year.
Yeah, you know, my autistic kids, like they can tell you all about nonfiction. They can tell you how to character your feet. I don't know, I mean, it's kind of weird.
Sometimes I like to do things like I just have a box on the table.
Yeah, what was it?
And I have a picture of what do you think was inside it? Why? What was it for?
Was always like that, sad, explain it, why do you think this?
As you wrap up your conversations, we're having a real teaching moment here. The technology didn't work. I'm sure you experienced that all year. We actually have to enter a new code. So if you can exit out of this Nearpod and just join our new code, you will have your links.
I can do that.
Thank you.
That's a C.
You guys are easier to work with than the students.
Yes.
That's what all the sailors say.
Have to be flexible.
That's what the sailors say.
And we appreciate you all not just leaving. Yeah. Pretty good.
Hey, it started out with my little glass. Grab my name. Wow. Can I speak page?
Yes.
This look right.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm like, here's the work.
Hold on. So we can go, is everybody in? I can go back. No? Okay. I'm going to briefly go back over the directions so you guys know what you're doing. You just need a little break. All right.
Is everyone in? Oh, not yet. Almost.
Well, see, you're an iPad, so. It's a.
All day long.
Okay, cool. All right, so don't tell anybody, but we're giving you a sneak peek at the data for your students coming up. Okay, so you're going to look at the students who are going to come to you next year. So like fourth grade, and look at the third grade data. You're going to analyze it, and then you're going to use the Jamboard to record your responses. Okay, so now, 2 slides later, you should have data or links pop up. You're going to click on the folder with the previous year's grade.
So if I click on grade 3,
And the Jamboard as well.
If I'm a fourth grade teacher, I'm clicking on grade 3.
3.
Yes.
Because you will have those students next year.
So we're just going to pick one class.
So once you have access to the data, go ahead and open the Jamboard. It's going to guide your discussion. So once you have the data open, please open the Jamboard because there's questions on there.
This is too much of a film. Dr. Pat, go in there.
it's too small. You can zoom in. If you need our help, just flag us down. Yes.
So they said they answering the fifth grade questions.
We're collaborating. What do you think have to do with the data?
Is this all, is
They don't have a whole lot of red. I mean, you keep it small, like 6. And then I would definitely be to tell the otherwise because she's a strong
Just to clarify, one of the questions asked for the overarching unit, that's going to be the person's name followed by 1. That's the 1. Person's name followed by 2 breaks it down by unit. Understand? It's a kid. It's kids. I just got a good.
I think it is. I think they're a strong tier 2 and above lunch. And this is just for games.
Summarized information was hard for jury.
Well, I see each class, it must have been divided to increasing by because there's more tier 2. What do you think?
Yeah, look at that, I'm summarizing. The drug rate's one, right? Yeah, almost everybody. You take this one, I take this one, summarize it. Most of them are all. So basically, read some of this today.
That's great.
I know that's very good. I mean, the only one that was sport has special ed, so to take that into effect.
Oh, she has inclusion.
But you know, if you have autistic kids, you know, autistic kids don't get fiction.
Yes, exactly. I was talking about that group over there, yeah.
And then nonfiction is even worse.
No. Yes, they can regurgitate the life cycle of some animal you didn't even
So
see.
we're working on summarizing
Information.
And it's only happy Saturday.
Yep.
There's nothing other than happy Saturday. Not, they can't be disappointed, they can't be confused. No, it's happy Saturday.
It's like they can't go beyond what's in the textbook.
Yeah, and you have to accept that that is really what they teach us.
So it's almost like I think, you know, you did your inventory at the end of the year. Should that be something to like
Yes.
do every day?
And
Like,
then
every-
what I learned with my autistic kids is if I have a situation in the room where they felt that way, like if they were disappointed, but do you remember when I didn't pick you that day? That's disappointing. That's how this character.
Oh,
feels.
yes.
Because then it connects to their life. You know, do you remember when you won and you were thrilled?
Yeah.
That's how they feel. You gotta have that connection, but they don't feel it. You know, you're either happy or dead. Okay, you're dead.
And they all seem to be fairly strong in nonfiction.
I don't wanna look at the second thing.
So you can tell what they look like.
I know. She did really good job.
Yeah, I haven't looked at every one, but I'm trying to look at the pic, you know.
She said her plan is to do a video essay.
And did you get a piece of card? Or is that target?
They're all reading about.
I didn't see you got glasses on.
Well, you know, coming from a Chromebook, it's like, you know.
Yeah, the Chromebook is small.
Yeah, but it's a grade level nonfiction. No, it really is. I mean, it's a weakness, but I mean, it's not flat math, you know.
For a virtual school.
Get data like this. Sometimes if you have to tie it in that, you just feel like we're spraying and praying.
I like that. But then they say you gotta go deeper. They say the kids don't even know anything.
Well, let me tell you, out of 15 days, 11 of them was was I not?
I think it's the best job more than your school.
That's a lot. I think we do.
Was it nonfiction, was it whatever? And then the computer gets one line about it. That was really That was very cute. Okay. I have places to go.
So what did you order?
I have people working
All right, go ahead and finish up.
a lot to a
All right, we're gonna have you guys share out. The collaboration was awesome. We'll have you share your ideas and what you found when you analyzed the data in just a moment. I think yes. Mhm. All right, if we can have one person from each grade level just share your findings with the data after you analyze it and what will be your plan of action. All right, you Fourth grade.
Fourth grade's gonna have a really good time in reading because their scores were outstanding. They were all high. Nonfiction was the area they needed the most concern with. What was our skill? Author's purpose and main idea. But other than that, the scores were fantastic.
Awesome, so that would be something they'll focus on.
So now you will send them on the street.
Yes.
All right, third grade.
Tell me.
Okay, well, I'll share that. We realized that first, second grade, main idea was the area that all the classes need to focus on. We worked on also a positive, for me. The positive was that the area that they were strongest in was the area
Was setting the purpose for reading and read and reread the text with fluency and accuracy. That's what that
So it's interesting, we're even noticing a trend here now a little bit, that those third and fourth grades are kind of struggling with main ideas, and maybe might be something we can take school-wide approach to see how we can close those gaps. Okay, fifth grade?
The weakest area again here was also summarizing supporting details. But we did notice that there is a positive trend with making differences and cause and effect and drawing conclusions. Yeah. So it's definitely something that we'll be focusing on next year, is the summarizing.
Nonfiction. All right, awesome. We're glad you were able to find something, and hopefully that gets your brain kind of jogging. Although nobody works over the summer, you know. But hopefully that will get you prepared to kind of see
Yes.
what's coming in for.
You're not walking in blind next school year. You
Next
already
year.
have it in your mind. The
All right.
areas.
Do we have how many? 2 more raffles. So you might still walk out here with something. We'll see.
In addition to the information.
All right.
Let's see. 138, 149.
138, 149.
All right. Last but not least, 138, 146. All right. There you go. Awesome. Okay. So again, we appreciate you all for coming. We know you could have been doing other stuff, and you chose to be here. So we really appreciate you. We have a link to a feedback survey. It's important for us to, as teachers, as leaders, to continuously analyze, get data, and improve on it. So if you could just fill out the feedback survey quickly, and then you are free to go once your survey is turned in.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, how about this? So, you should tell us not